And I kindly request everyone to say sadhu to start the supportive practice session.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Feeling like a water bubble. Suppose because that in the autumn, when it is raining and big raindrops are falling, a water bubble arises and bursts on the surface of the water. A man with good eyesight would inspect it, ponder it, and carefully investigate it. And it would appear to him to be void, hollow, and insubstantial. For what substance would there be in water bubble? So too, because whatever kind of feeling there is, with the past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, a bhikkhu inspects it, ponders it, and carefully investigates it, and would appear to be void, hollow, insubstantial. For what substance could there be in feeling? Dear noble friends, now we are starting another supportive practice session in our weekly mindfulness practice session. And this particular discourse has been our subject for some time. It is called Pena Pindukuma Sutta or the Phuang Sutta, where the Blessed One is discussing physical process and mental process, and he's giving a simile for each of them. So we have discussed the first one, the form. He equates it to his simile for form is Phuang. When he's sitting on the banks of river Ganges, he sees these forms get accumulated, and he says, our body is also like that. Our form is also like that. It is like a lump of foam which keeps appearing and disappearing. So therefore, he's asking whether there is any substance in it, and we have noticed that when we practice, we are sometimes when we take our attention to the body, to our respiration, we can see the respiration is not one static thing. It's not something which is permanent. It always is bubbles, air particles entering and getting released from the body. We are inhaling particles of air and exhaling particles of air. And at the same time, using that, when you take your attention to the body, even you start feeling the body in the same manner. So we have discussed that in detail. So I'm not going to take that once again. Now, when someone's attention is in the body, what he next feels is the feelings. He starts entering into the mind through the body. When the attention is in the body, the fact that the attention is in the body is that the mind is in the body. So when the mind is in the body, the habit of the mind is to either like or dislike. So when your attention is firmly in the body, you start seeing this judgmental nature of the mind. So because of the judgmental nature of the mind, when you see these subtle layers of the body, it is giving a judgment. This is good, this is bad. So on that basis, the Blessed One has identified 3 types of feelings, which we know, which we call pleasant feeling, painful feeling, neither painful nor pleasant feeling. So this feeling further classified in the 4 foundations of mindfulness discourse as feelings in the mundane life and feeling in the spiritual life. So even in the spiritual life, you have pleasant feelings, you have painful feelings, you have neither pleasant nor painful feelings. So why this discussion of feelings is important is because it is, number one, the gateway to the mind. From the body, body and the mind is linked through feeling. And therefore, it is a significant juncture, significant gate in the conditioning process. In the conditioning process, we know because of the contact, the feelings arise, and because of the feelings, the cravings arise. So we always, when we live, we are living with a contact, maybe from our eye, maybe from our ear, from any of the sense faculties. We are constantly in contact, and as a result, we are constantly having a feeling. And since we constantly having a feeling, we constantly generating craving or generating liking and dislike. That is what we call craving. So this process, therefore, is very significant for us to realize the truth. So therefore, discussion of the feelings is very important because it is directly related to the conditioning. And also in Kimmulaka Sutta, the Blessed One says, what does he say is that Sabbe Dhamma Vedana Samosarana Sabbe Dhamma. Any phenomena is taking the refuge of a feeling. Anything that may happen in our physical or mental process will get communicated through a feeling. So therefore, the Blessed One says, this is a very important juncture, and therefore a lot of teachers say, when you have feelings, any of the 3 feelings, maybe worldly, maybe spiritually, you have the opportunity either to create craving and continue your existence, or you have the opportunity to take a U-turn and then take the path to wisdom. So therefore, this is a very significant area. So in the last discussion, we took the second classification of feelings, which is Samisa feelings and Niramisa feelings. Samisa feelings means worldly feelings. Niramisa feelings means spiritual feelings. And we had a detailed comparison and tried to understand what friction, what suffering, what competition, what sort of agony we are going through in maintaining the worldly feeling, in generating worldly feelings. And we are so addicted, we are so obsessed with that suffering to generate either worldly feeling. And therefore, the first teaching of the Buddha is suffering is a noble truth. And although worldly feelings is such a suffering, comparison of that to the Niramisa or the spiritual feeling, absolutely there is no suffering. Absolutely you have got nothing to do. No one is competing with that. And if you access it, it is for you and it is forever. But whereas samisa, worldly feelings, it's so spontaneous, you can't maintain after. But in niramisa, if you gain something, you may feel that you are losing it, but you never lose it, and you have the opportunity to go to that stage once again. So the funny thing is, irrespective of whether it's worldly feelings or spiritual feeling, Blessed One's advice is very clear. What he simply says, no matter what type of feeling it is, the practitioner's duty is only one, which is pajanati, which means be aware. If it is a spiritual feeling, be aware of it. If it's a worldly feeling, simply be aware of it. If it is pleasant feeling, just be aware of it. If it is unpleasant feeling, just be aware of it. If it is in between, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, still you have got to be simply aware of it only. There is nothing else to be done. So this is the advice, and this is what we practice, and this is a mindfulness discussion and mindfulness workshop session that we do. So therefore, what we will have to keep in mind is our job. What we are learning here is to maintain this awareness, to be more specific, to maintain this choiceless awareness. When you keep on practicing, when your practice improves, when your practice gets subtle, you will have to be very vigilant to ensure that you maintain only choiceless awareness. Because this is very important, because when our practice becomes subtler and when it is turning towards understanding the friction or the frictionless state in the spirituality, most of the time practitioners forget that choiceless awareness should be applied or choiceless awareness should be used. Instead, they get bogged down in the spiritual pleasantness because there is no competition, you have got no price to pay, no one is coming and robbing it, so you can enjoy it as much as you want. So therefore, it's a very risky area, especially the pleasant spiritual feeling. So, but Blessed One is very clear. He has gone through all that and he says, just keep in mind, simply pajanati. Okay. So, what are these spiritual feelings? What are these spiritual pleasant feelings? Is something that I am going to discuss today. And as we know, these are the absorptions that you go into when you practice the path. And the first absorption that you will get is the definition of it is, as per the discourses, it says it is when a mendicant, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unskillful qualities, enters and remains in the first absorption, which has applied and sustained thoughts, and the rapture and bliss born of seclusion, while placing the mind and keeping it connected. So there are, in this definition of the first absorption or the first immersion, if I may use the word first jhana, there are two things that we remove. There are two things that we gain, that we use to remove whatever we are removing. And there are two things, or it is taken as one, that we gain as a result. The things we remove, here it says, secluded from sensual pleasures, which means when you come here for the practice, you are doing it in the temple, who are in the temple at the moment. If you are at home, you go to your room and practice, and there what you are doing is you are not getting involved with other things that you would have done if you had been at home. If you have been in the other part of the house, if you are practicing at home. So you are secluded yourself from the sensual pleasure. And also, not only that, secluded from sensual pleasures, you are also secluded from unskillful qualities. Right? We call it vivicheva kamehi, vivicheva akusalehi dhammehi. Vivicheva kamehi means you are moving away from sensual pleasures. So you are not going into a place where there are a lot of forms, where there are a lot of sounds, smells, and so on and so forth, which energizes, which agitates, which attracts your sense faculty. Instead, you have come to the temple. And the unskillful qualities means, although you come to the temple, leaving whatever possessions, whatever things that you like at home, when you come to the temple, when you go to this secluded place, your thoughts about them will arise. And we call them hindrances. And the hindrances are the unskillful qualities. And the hindrances, we know, sensual desire, sense desire, hatred or ill will, sloth and torpor, agitation and worry, and the skeptical doubts. So these are the hindrances or the unskillful qualities. So what it says here is, you're quite secluded from these things. So when you go to the first absorption, you don't have even not just the sense objects. You don't have even thoughts about sense. You don't have thoughts about ill will. You are not sleepy. You are not drowsy, and you don't have any agitation about the future and worry about the past. You have no doubts of what you are doing. Even these unskilled qualities are also removed. And how are they removed? Is by, it says here, with applied and sustained thoughts. Applied and sustained thoughts means we in Pali we call it vitakka vichara. So we have vitakka. You use your words to remove the unskillful qualities. When you come to the temple, you are already secluded from sensual pleasures, but unskillful qualities you can't remove. So, but when you apply thoughts, with the application of thoughts, with vitakka, you can keep even the unskillful qualities away. Let me give you an example of vitakka. When we practice, especially as a beginner, when you start, or even when you are an advanced practitioner, sometimes when the practice becomes too intense, we may use this, which is the labeling or the naming. When we walk, we may name right, 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 left, 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 left. Or we may name the process, lifting, moving, lowering, and placing. And these are the steps of naming. So when you lift the foot, you label it as lifting. When you move it, you label it as moving. When you lower the leg down, you label it as lowering. And then when you place it, you will label it as placing. So when you keep labeling what you are doing in that particular point in time, what happens is mind is not having now an opportunity to bring anything else into the picture, anything else into the mind. So therefore, these unskillful qualities cannot come in. So therefore, with vitakka, In other words, with labeling, you are keeping this opportunity away, unskillful qualities away therefore. Right? It is not only that you apply your vitakka or apply the thought, which is your labeling, and after application, after continuing application, you are able to see more details of your lifting. You simply don't say lifting. While lifting, you see that your heel is lifted first, and then the arch area, and then the toes, and then you give a bit of a pressure to the ground, and then force it to the ground, and then move forward. So it's not just simply lifting. You are seeing things involved in lifting. And sometimes some people may say, while saying lifting, he also will see if the surface that you are walking is rugged, and when you place it, you have some pain, some sensation. When you lift it, you may see that sensation gradually fades away. Or if it is cold, especially winter in Australia, you may feel that coldness gradually subsides. So you see not only the fact that you are lifting, you are seeing more details of lifting, right? So that is called sustained thoughts. So when you apply your mind through labeling, and if you are seeing more and more information about the activity that you are doing in that particular point in time, I just explained only while lifting, then in effect, what you are doing is you are keeping even unskillful qualities away. So when you keep these unskillful qualities away, your mind is now precisely hooked with more detail with what is happening just in this point in time. So your mind is not running to the future. Your mind is not running to the past. Your mind is not running to other places. Your mind is not thinking about other people, such as your family, such as your workplace, such as your friends, such as your enemies, such as the government. You are not thinking about anybody else. So you are simply now using this technique of labeling and seeing detail. You are with yourself, so you have less friction. You have less things to do, and that gives you a rapture. You being with yourself gives you rapture and bliss. So therefore it says, rapture and bliss born of seclusion. So these are the 5 things that are in the first absorption. If I may say again, you keep the sensual pleasures away, you keep the unskillful qualities away through applied thoughts and sustained thoughts, which means labeling and gathering information. Those 2 things will keep the other 2 away, and as a result, what you gain from that is rapture and bliss born of seclusion. So I'm sure this is something that all of you are able to relate in your practice. Maybe while walking, maybe while sitting, you have been able to bring your attention to this particular point in time, maybe for a few thought moments, maybe for a few seconds, maybe for a few minutes, maybe some even longer, right? So you can understand this. So therefore, mind you, when this happens, there is no signpost to say that you are passing first jhana or you are in first absorption. There is nothing like that. You simply keep practicing. That's all what you have got to do. The process will take care of what has to happen. So this is a pleasant feeling that you will get in the spiritual sphere. Spiritual, this is a pleasant spiritual feeling, right? So the Blessed One says, you may go to the stage. When you go to this stage, there's nothing wrong in going there, but simply be aware of it. You have no duty to get involved with it and get immersed in it and get lost in it. That has happened before Buddha. I am not teaching you to go there and indulge yourself in it, but instead you go there and be aware that you are there. So when you do that, you see not only the pleasant side of it, you also see the painful side of it. Pleasant side is obtaining rapture and bliss. The painful side is, in order to maintain this rapture and bliss, you will have to continuously keep on using applied thoughts and sustained thoughts. Applied thoughts and sustained thoughts, because although you are secluded from sensual pleasures, your unskillful qualities, which is the sense desire, mainly sense desire and ill will, or sometimes even sloth and torpor, will kick in, and then you may not be able to have this rapture and blissful situation. So therefore, you will have to maintain that. You will have to be very vigilant that your rapture is not attacked by anything else, any of the unskillful qualities. So that maintenance is the painful part of the first absorption. So even that, you may feel that, what the heck, I've got to keep on applying all the time. Yeah, I've got to keep labeling all the time. I will have to keep observing my legs all the time. It's the same thing, lifting the heel and lifting the arch and lifting the toes. What nonsense is this? You might feel. So therefore, although you have a blissful state, to maintain that blissful state, you will have to undergo some pain. So when that pain appears, the Blessed One says, you will have no gain, no pain situation. Even for the pain that you are undergoing to get this blissful state, just be aware of it. You don't generate ill will towards it. Ill will naturally come, but simply be aware of it, because always when you have a reward, definitely there is a risk. When you have a benefit, definitely there is a cost. So this is the cost-benefit analysis of the Blessed One. This is the risk and reward analysis of the Blessed One. So this is the SWOT analysis of the Blessed One. So he's giving this thing, and it is there. Your job is simply to be aware. But when you keep on practicing, it is not just the first immersion or the first absorption. Skillful practitioners, clever practitioners, daredevil practitioners will try to see whether this painful situation can be avoided. Of course, when we were in the sensual world, we knew it was a huge friction, and that is why we meditated. That is why we started practicing mindfulness. Now we know by practicing mindfulness, we can, to some extent, at least for a few thought moments, we are able to move away from sensual pleasures. So we have an art now to replace the frictional thing with a less frictional thing. You have learned that in the first absorption. So you apply the same principle in the second absorption. When it comes to the second absorption, you know, continuous labeling, continuous observation of the sustained thoughts is bit of a trouble. It's bit of a nonsense. It's a bit of a nuisance. So you may feel it is better if I can drop this nonsense and simply observe only, or simply become aware only. And then if you try that, and if you succeed, and of course, when you keep on doing it over time, and if it has come to a stage that you see labeling is a frictional thing, then you are mature. Because of your maturity only, you realize that labeling is a fictional thing. Labeling is an energy waste. So then when you drop it, and you may see, without labeling, now you can still have your attention to the leg. Without labeling, now you can have your attention to the breath. Initially, you are saying in when it is going in, out when it is going out. Now, without that, you are able to maintain the status quo. So when you realize that, when you take that experiment, you will be conserving more and more energy. Therefore, the Blessed One says in the second absorption, calming down of applied and sustained thoughts, a bhikkhu achieves and remains in the second jhana with internal tranquility and one-pointedness, born of seclusion from applied and sustained thoughts, and with rapture and bliss, born of concentration. Right? So here again, it's the same equation. Now, it is when the applied and sustained thoughts slowly from the top gear comes to the neutral state, calming down of applied and sustained thought. You don't straight away break and stop. You slowly, gradually decide that I'm not going to apply, or I'm not going to use labeling, and just try it. And then that gives seclusion from applied and sustained. When it calms down and stops, then you are now secluded from applied and sustained thoughts. When you are secluded from applied and sustained thoughts, what you gain is rapture and bliss, which was there even earlier. It was earlier, it was born of seclusion of the sensual state. Now it is born of concentration, because your attention is sharper. Your energy is not getting wasted in verbalizing it, in saying it, in labeling it. So because of that conservation of energy, your attention is just the mind itself is with the object. So when the mind is with the object, it is called concentration. And that concentration, without verbalization, is giving a higher rapture, higher bliss. And it does not say higher here, but that is what is happening, because you are removing another layer that gave you friction. So therefore it says, with internal tranquility, when you drop labeling, when you drop sustained thoughts, you are more internally with you, and internal tranquility happens because the verbalization is stopped. But the attention is there. Nothing happens to the attention. That body is now with the mind without the help of words. And that gives one-pointedness, because the mind and the body is now together. So that is the second absorption. So I remember my teacher used to give an example here to explain how frictional the labeling is and applied and sustained thoughts are. In Sri Lanka, and especially in the subcontinent, during elections, so that period is going to start in Sri Lanka now. They use thugs. They use manpower. They use all sorts of illegal activities to scare people and to keep the opposition away and to gain as much as possible votes to the particular party or to the particular candidate. And the MPs and the ministers are doing that. Everyone is doing it. So after doing it, they once they win the election, and these guys who have been helping you, all these people will not leave your house, will not leave your office, because they only really help you to come to this stage. They were only putting posters, they were only displaying banners, they were only destroying others' posters, they were only destroying others' banners, they were only, doing all sorts of nonsense to the opposition. So they really help you to win. And after winning, so they enjoy in the minister's house. But now it becomes a nuisance for the minister, because with these guys, they can't do anything. So what the minister does is, minister give a call to the police and say, these guys are still here. You do something and get rid of them from my house. And it's the same thing that is happening in the second jhana. In the first jhana, we use applied and sustained thoughts to get the attention to the leg. So once the attention to the leg or the breath or the object is there using labeling and applied and sustained thoughts, once the job is done, you don't carry it with you. You simply drop it. You're doing the same thing that was done to the tongues. It helped you, but just because it helped you, you're not going to carry it. We are learning the art of what you call giving up, dropping it, right? So if you carry those things, then still you are clinging on to the techniques. So even the techniques that you use will be dropped out. So in this manner, we go to a higher rapture and bliss, born of concentration in the second jhana. And when you go to the third jhana, then the mind becomes, in the second jhana, your continuation of keeping the one-pointedness and having the internal tranquility. You may enjoy lot of rapture and bliss. Rapture means the happiness in the mind, which is represented through the body, right? So the happiness, when the mind is happy, mind is used to enjoy that always through the body. So that is called the rapture. And the bliss is the purely a mental thing. Mind is at so peace, peaceful mind, serene mind is the bliss. So when you take these two, this is what you have earned now. When you take these two, continuous practice, you will see that this rapture is bothering you. And there are 5 stages of raptures, and starting from feeling ants crawling on your skin, and maybe feeling of worms on the chin, cheeks, and the face, etc. And that is the start of it. That conveys you that your attention is in the mind and you are not bothered by it, and you start feeling this rapture. And when you just let it happen, when you continue the practice in the way that you have been continuing up to that point, then it will increase. When it increases, you may feel that you are completely immersed in water, and completely you will be feeling you're floating like. And then you may feel that you are completely in a water bubble or in a cave, right? So like that, it evolves, this rapture evolves. All this evolution happen, you feel in the body. So if you open your eyes, then you are suspecting what is happening. But if you don't open your eyes, and if you have the bliss on the other hand, you don't open. But when this is happening, and if you are not blissful, if you are suspicious of what is going on, then you will open your eyes and you will wipe your face and you will shake your head and see what's happening, and so you will not have the opportunity to experience the whole scenario that is unfolding. But over time, with the discussion, with presenting of your report, you may be encouraged to just keep observing. That's all what you have to do. And you may come to this rapture and blissful situation. And continuous observation, continuous practice of this rapture and blissful situation, you will realize rapture is giving more trouble than the bliss, because your mind is now gradually getting what it has been looking for all the time in the samsara. What mind has been looking for all the time in the samsara is this bliss, is this happiness. So it has learned the art. It is learning the art of being happy by dropping something and in its place replacing something else. So Buddha is using this nature of the mind to get rid of defilements as well. So therefore, because of that nature of the mind says the rapture is more fictional, rapture is more annoying and agitating. So it tries the next level, whether it can drop rapture. So therefore, in the third jhana, the Blessed One is saying, having been detached from rapture, that bhikkhu dwells in equanimity with mindfulness and clear comprehension, and experiences the bliss in mind and body. And he achieves and remains in the third jhana, equanimous and mindful of the bliss he abides in. So here it is very clear, having detached from rapture. As I mentioned, rapture is the more annoying one, more naughty one. So therefore, mind is gradually coming out of it. How it is coming out of it? Initially, it was enjoying this rapture. It was enjoying this pervading nature. It was enjoying this showering nature. It was enjoying being like in the mother's womb. But gradually, when you keep on doing the same thing over and again, over and again, over and again, you realize that there is nothing to enjoy much. It is comparatively more annoying. Therefore, it gradually mind detached from it. You don't do it intentionally. It is the maturity of the mind that makes you, that allows you to take the subtle decision, let it go. And because in a subtle manner, you let that rapture fade away when it is fading away. Some people would like it and they will look for it and they will mess it up. But when it gradually disappears, and if you still become quiet and calm, then now you are learning another skill, which is the equanimity. You have gained this rapture by sacrificing quite a lot of things. To gain the rapture, you sacrificed your sense pleasure. You sacrificed your sense desire. You sacrificed your labeling. You sacrificed your sustained thoughts. After sacrificing all these four, only you had this highest evolved rapture, which was so enjoyable. But even that rapture, you gradually start not enjoying. So when you start not enjoying it, some people say, my meditation was so good in the past, now it is not so. what should I do? And all sorts of crying will start. But with, again, the submission of the reports and the continuous practice and the clearing of your doubts, straightening of your views, you will be gradually going towards the equanimous observation or towards equanimity. So you are detached from the rapture. You are not detached from a rapture crying. You are not looking for it. Therefore, you introduce this new skill, new ability, new potential of the mind, which is called the equanimity. And that is why it says, having been detached from rapture, that bhikkhus dwell in equanimity. It is something that you have gained, but you are losing it. When you lose it, you don't cry. How you don't cry is with mindfulness and clear comprehension. Now, this point is very important because in the first and the second absorption, when we get the reports, we don't know whether this particular person is applying mindfulness or whether he is applying the samatha technique, or whether he is going in the vipassana direction, or whether he is going in the concentration direction. We don't know in the first and the second jhana. But in the third jhana, when it comes to the third jhana, then we can see whether he is more hooked in the equanimity, whether he is more hooked in the bliss, or whether he is talking about being aware of the situation and being aware of what has been happening all this time. Clear comprehension means that you know the path coming to this. So if the reports is giving indications of this mindfulness and the clear comprehension, then the teacher knows, the noble friend knows, if he is a person who is practicing mindfulness, that he is in the right direction. If not, then teacher will gradually give advices without telling you are in the third jhana, you are going in some direction. We don't tell all that nonsense. We observe it, we understand it, and we see whether his view has got to be corrected, or whether his understanding has got to be corrected, or whether his suspicion has got to be corrected, whether his expectation has got to be corrected. And by identifying the defilements that is involved in that stage, he is introduced with mindfulness and he is introduced with clear comprehension. What we simply say is, some of the advisors, it's not always the same. Some of the advisors is, we ask them to give the path, how you came to this point, what happens to your breath. And then when the breath, if disappeared, then what happened? And then what happened? And then what happened? You keep on observing them and reporting them. And in that manner, he may say, okay, I was observing breath and it was so blissful and I was feeling ants crawling in my head and all that. And then suddenly all that disappeared. I was in very peaceful and there are thoughts, there are sounds, but I'm not disturbed and all that. Then we know that he's very equanimous of what is going on. And it was such a blissful state. And I didn't want to get up. And even after the bell went, I sat for another half an hour. And if he is talking like that, then gives indication that he's more talking about the serenity of the state than about the mindfulness. Then we gradually introduce him, okay, if when you say the breath disappeared, tell me the stages in which the breath disappeared. And then once it disappeared, tell me what happens. And then he has got to apply mindfulness. He has got to use mindfulness. He has got to pick experiences that he's having in those stages. Then he will gradually come out of indulging in that pleasant state and introduce mindfulness into the pleasant state. We are not destroying it, but introduce mindfulness and clear comprehension by knowing the path. Introduce the clear comprehension. Then he will be in still the third absorption, but which is directed towards vipassana, which is directed towards inside. So with that experience, still the Blessed One says, experiences the bliss in mind and the body. Now, earlier the body was dancing too much with hands and with feeling in water and all sorts of nonsense, and with feeling of shower, feeling of floating and all that. But now mind is so calm, so is the body, and he is experiencing that bliss, and he achieves and remains in the third jhana, more equanimous and mindful of it, because he is being introduced with mindfulness. He knows that he is equanimous because in this jhana he has bliss. Because of the bliss, he hears everything. He sees all the thoughts, and he has pain. He sees, he also sees the breath, but is not picking anything. Mind has become more and more choiceless. Mind has become more and more not not agitated by other factors. So he with the vipassana ability, vipassana nature, is in the third jhana. Again, it is not all pleasant story. Being in such a higher blissful state is the pleasantness, and just be aware of it. And also, in time to time, so-called equanimity might get affected, because your mind is so sharp. Mind is so much in the mind and the body. Mind is so much in the body. You may now start feeling unbearable pain. So therefore, you may start feeling lot of sounds. You may hear a lot of sounds, far away sounds, or too many sounds, because you are so sensitive now, so subtle mind. So mind clarity is so high. So the inputs that you get is also similarly high. So therefore, that may become a painful situation in the third absorption. So in the third absorption, on one hand, what you gain, and on the other hand, you have this maintenance cost to be more and more equanimous to maintain this bliss. So for both this, knowing both these scenarios, both this cost and the benefit, risk and reward, Buddha says, knowing is what you have got to do. These are there. You don't get anything free of charge. There is some, of course, you don't pay money, but there is some energy that is involved, and that energy should only be your awareness, no matter whether it's a pleasant thing or the painful thing, no matter whether it's a reward or whether it's a risk, no matter whether it's a benefit or no matter whether it's a cost. Your job is simply one, which is continuous choiceless awareness. So with that continuous choiceless awareness, we will be able to adhere to Buddha, listen to Buddha, do what he says, be on the lap of the Buddha, if you maintain the choiceless awareness. So all what I teach to anybody and everybody is this choiceless awareness. Keep that choiceless awareness to the front, to the fore. Give choiceless awareness the driving seat. Then you don't require any big formula. You don't require any big theory. A lot of people are turning lots and lots of books and then mess their minds up. you have got to simply do only one thing, which is what the Buddha said, keeping the mindfulness to the fore. And a lot of people, it is not enough for them. They want Pali, they want analysis of discourses, they want Abhidhamma, they want that monk sermon, they want this monk's sermon, they want that monk to come, they want this monk to come. They are making a soup out of these resources available. Buddha's advice is just one, keep the mindfulness to the fore. When you keep the mindfulness to the fore, it will generate continuity, it will generate the speed. The RPM will be high. When the RPM becomes high, it will go into Sampajanya. When it goes into Sampajanya, it takes you to the factors of enlightenment. And that is how the Buddha has made this formula. We have got nothing to input. The only input that we have got to do is not to do anything. Be choicelessly aware. So I wish all of you to be choicelessly aware and gain this wonderful gift of the Blessed One and thrive in your practice. And we will continue from here in the next session. Blessings of the Triple Gem.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
All right. And now we can take any questions if you have.
So I'll answer, you mentioned, wait, can you hear me, Samansa?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned how, when a mind reaches the rapture state, it finds something it was looking for in the samsara. So it finally gets to that level and your mind realizes, oh, this is finally what I'm looking for when it achieves that rapture for a person.
Yeah.
Can it be different for someone where like, it's for someone, it could be like a state of being of service, helping others. Can it be different for someone like that, where that person's mind can...
No, it's a different thing. What you are saying also will happen, but it is that is not what I meant. What I meant was what the mind has been looking for in samsara is happiness.
Happiness, yeah.
So,
okay, yeah.
So this happiness, he has found the way to you give up something with something else. So he's learning the art of removing the frictionless with removing the friction with less frictional thing. So so his mind is learning that art.
Yeah.
So what you are saying is when the practice is developing, you may get some thoughts to help others. So that is called your craving to become something, somebody. So that's again another way forward, another development in the practice. But that development is highlighting a craving as well at the same time. Yeah.
So that craving, like, does it go for a longer period of time, or like, is that just another part of the mind?
It is another game of the mind. So what you will have to do is when those things appear, you will have to put that in the report in detail and discuss. Then we will be able to see what the mind is trying to do.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, it does have. I have been experiencing, the will to, help others. So at home, at work, social media and all that, like, just like the urges to be creative and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's like another part of the mind. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I can report for now.
Yeah. No, that is usual. You try to become more and more helpful in the society. That is because the mind is now trying to create self through that. Because from the practice, now you are not creating self. So the self is losing its ground.
Mm.
And then it is giving this poison and see, it's a great thing. But from the point of view of the Buddha, he says, Janapada Vitakka, Jnati Vitakka, which means you are trying to help your family, which is Jnati Vitakka, helping relatives. And Janapada Vitakka means you are trying to help your village, your town, your community.
Yeah, things like that.
Janapada Vitakka. But when they are there, you do it, and at the same time be aware. Be aware I'm having this. Then it loses its strength. Being awareness will take the self away from it.
Yeah, that'd be also an answer.
Yeah, Thiruvan Saran.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
Yes. Hello, Juan.
Oh, you go
Hi.
first.
Okay. Oh. Hello.
Tatu is there.
Hello, Sahan. Hello, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Hope you're doing well. Wow, nice.
Please go with your question. Very good to
Okay.
see you.
Me too. Have a good one.
Yeah, keep
Okay.
going.
Okay. So recently, I got a knee injury and a little knee injury. So during my sitting meditation, like after 30 or 40 minutes of sitting, my knee start to like have this burning sensation, and I just keep observing to that extent that now this like burning sensation have some freezing and coldness also to it, and like after a while the sensation decreased, and like few minutes later it came again, and like my body like automatically just strained my leg, and so I couldn't take it. I didn't like get angry or bothered by it because it was just automatic. So I wanted to know if that's okay. Sometimes like it happens.
Yeah. No, I mean, you explained it well. You said it's burning sensation, and then it was turning frozen and cold state. So that these are the two ends of the fire nature in the body. As you know, our body is made of four main elements: earth element, air element, water element, and fire element. So in this example, your fire element is activated. Initially, it is burning, and when you keep on observing it, the very same thing turns into frozen. Right? Still, it is the fire element. So you have observed the fire element, and that is what is happening when you observe it. And well, you have done it well. And the next thing is, once you have gone through that layer, after that, another layer will start, because you have passed your grade 1, then you go to grade 2, and it is a bit more difficult. Or when you pass your ordinary level exam, then you go to the high school. In the high school, it is a bit difficult, and when it is difficult, even without your involvement, you will be jerked out of it. Right? That naturally happens. There is nothing wrong in it. But now you know this is happening. Go prepared.
Yeah.
And try when it is automatically happening. Again, it might happen 2-3 times. Doesn't matter. And then you learn more and more details of going to that state, starting that state. Right? So then you can go even more prepared. And when the mind is trying to automatically take you off that, you can observe it a bit more. So then when you observe it, your burning may be 10 times more than initial. but still you can keep observing, and that will give you that takes more defilements out of you, and we will see how it goes after that observation. Good.
Okay. And I have one question. It's like a general question, not just for me. I wanted to know why mind always want to make sense of thing, and why it always want to get to a conclusion. And it's like it doesn't like stay in an unknown and uncertain situation. Even the smallest thought, even thinking about nonsense, it just want to get to a conclusion and then go to another thought, go to another thought. Why is that?
Yeah, that is because when you go for a conclusion, the self is created with a conclusion. Who is concluding? It is me who is concluding. So the self is established. That's one side. And the other side is it takes away the choiceless awareness. You don't choicelessly aware, instead you move into a conclusion. That is the inherent quality of the mind. So you see that because now you are introducing choiceless awareness. Because you introduce choiceless awareness, now you can see these natures of the mind. So then what you should have is, you should have a bit of a laugh at it. This is my own mind taking me for a ride.
Yes.
It is so funny. We have been living with this mind, thinking it is doing all good for us. Make sense?
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I have one request. If it's possible, if we can notify ourselves a little bit earlier on WhatsApp, because it was 5:30 in my country when we not get notified. So I thought that maybe
we will straight away blame Steve for that.
yeah, I thought maybe today we won't have.
He's doing a good job because he's busy till Sunday, so he forgets it and he's doing it in the morning. Steve, can we make it, Steve and Chatu, both of you?
Chatu is back now, so we can get this
So
rectified.
you're passing the ball to him.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Sahan, what is your what's the time there for you right now?
Now it's a moment, please. It's about 3 p.m.
3 p.m. Okay, so about 6 hours, 6.5 hours behind.
No,
okay.
Chatu, we will do it about 2 days ahead in advance.
Yeah. I think we'll have to do it. Yeah. Okay.
Something like that we'll do, because usually our other sessions are advertised 2 days in advance.
Okay. Yep.
So
okay.
we will
We'll do
advertise
that.
this as well 2 days in advance.
Yes. Good. We'll do that, Sahan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Steve, you have got to say something.
Of course. Just reflecting off what you were saying earlier about the labeling. When you said the labeling will eventually become a hindrance to a certain extent, because my mind now is very at ease. It doesn't wander very often now. So the labeling thing, just being an observer, so to speak, like a third person, and just say if you're doing Anapanasati or whatever your chosen object is, it's better to just observe that without any labeling. Like I get what you say there. Is it still like worthwhile having like an anchor point when I say that, like something like a word that you repeat over? So if you're doing walking Vipassana, you'd be like left, right kind of thing, or you're saying a word like Buddha or whatever it is. Is that still okay to do that, opposed to going left, lifting, dropping, and too much labeling? Is it still okay to just like still have a word just to make sure that the mind doesn't wander? Because my mind doesn't wander very often anymore, but I think that is something to do with me having a word that I say repeatedly. I sort of do that when I'm sitting. When I do sitting meditation, I'll have a word. So with my in-breath, I'll say half of the word, and then my out-breath, I'll say the other half of the word.
Yeah. What's the
is
word you're using?
There's a couple. I should just have one, but there's a couple. So I usually say Buddho, which I got from, as you know, I like to read a lot of books, and
That's exactly why I asked what nonsense you are doing. I go.
yeah, I think you got it last week, because I seen you smiling when I was explaining my new all of a sudden technique. That's from Manual of Insight by Mahasi Sayadaw. And of course, then I've gone onto YouTube and I've looked back at all the Sayadaw lineage of the Burmese monks, and that's just what I do. But the diaphragm part, I've actually stopped the labeling stuff. That's why I'm asking, because the diaphragm thing I'm still doing because I find that beneficial for me. So I've sort of adapted that, but I've gone back to when I was at the 5-day retreat, I was getting in a really good state of samadhi quick. So I'm going back to Anapanasati, but observing, like you mentioned earlier, I'm just observing it. I'm not actually going rising, falling or anything, so to speak. I'm just sort of doing my Anapanasati, but following it like I'm just sort of following the breath as like the inhale, the exhale. My long enduring question is though, drop the labeling, and that's choiceless awareness. Am I correct in saying that? Because you're just you're like a third person observer. Is that right?
Yeah, no, yeah, that is exactly what I said. If you want to be in the first jhana, then keep labeling. If you want to go to the next level, then you drop and observe. If it is successful, you have matured, you have what do you call it, upgraded from first jhana to the second. If you're unsuccessful, you can still use that and get bit more maturity, and then you will go through to the next level. And keep in mind, what matters is not being concentrated, but being knowing of what's going on.
Yeah.
Right. That's one comment I want to make. And you mentioned that I was laughing when you were saying Buddho. The reason is it may be from Mahasi. I don't know.
No, that's from the type, the Acharya Mun and Ajahn Mahabua. They're a couple of Thai lineage monks. I think they're from Ajahn Chah, but I got the Buddho from a book I read. It was
it is being used even in Brisbane. I know there is one place, but that is not the practice. Saying Buddha is good, it's a good word that we can use, but is it the practice that we are having? We are trying to have experiential knowledge. The word Buddha is taking our energy from experiential knowledge. Of course, we will be concentrated, but you're not looking for concentration as such, right? We are looking for mindfulness. The right mindfulness, we give the right concentration. This concentration will be there, but the question is it the right concentration?
So now the mind, like I said earlier, my mind doesn't wander very often at all now. So it's probably better to drop the words altogether and just have the choiceless awareness of just being the observer now. Is that correct?
Just be the observer, and you will have to prove that you have been the observer by giving more and more observations that you make.
Right. Okay.
That is important. Right. So you can't go to the road and say, I was observing vehicles. No. You will have to give details. I saw so many lorries, so many cars, so many this, so many that. And of those things, so many old cars, so many new cars, so many old lorries, so many new lorries, so many men, so many women, and old men, all women. So more the detail, higher your choiceless awareness is.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Make
Stuti.
sense?
Thank you, Bante. Sadhu.
Tuti.
Stuti. Awasara.
Awesome.
Awasara.
Tatu is spoiling you.
Oh, hi.
Teruvan Saran.
Everyone's on my content.
Keep
Everyone's
going.
on my. Yes. Yeah, based on the Dharma talk today, choiceless awareness. In relation to my experience, I can see the social cycle around myself is dramatically changing, given that some of my friends are moving up abroad, and I have some friends I can't see for a while. And based on what I've observed those, yeah, the was let me just think of a word. And it's going to bring like dramatic changes to my my future as well. That's what I've observed like during I was walking as in correlation to the Dharma talk today that underpinned the my observation, and I just wanted to let you know about that.
Yeah, I'm a bit unclear of what you are trying to say. When you say your future is being affected, do you mean
No. There will be a change. Yes.
there will be a change? Is it because of the practice or because of the normal happenings?
A bit of both.
Yeah, if it is because of the practice, from the practice, there will have some sort of attitude change, because now we are not going for a lot of sensual pleasures now. So because
Yeah.
of that, you may not like being with a lot of friends, going for parties, and dancing up and down too much. It may gradually change. It may gradually reduce, and because of that, some of the people that you like, that have been with you, they may gradually drop out. So those things might happen.
Is it natural?
It's natural, because now we are learning another way of living, not the sensual way of living. We are learning the spiritual way of living. In the spiritual way of living, we try to learn that the happiness is possible without being with ourselves, rather than being with a crowd, rather than being indulging in our sense pleasure. So those things, now our mind is changing. When the mind is changing, you will gradually move away from such people, move away from such places, move away from such activities. So that is natural, and that is a way forward. That is how you develop. Make sense?
Yes, that makes sense a lot to me. Yes.
Keep it up.
And when I was meditating just before when I was sitting, usually what I do is I put when I sit cross-legged, right, just like how you see me right now. Yes, I put my right foot on top of my left foot just like this.
Yeah.
And recently I actually talked to Steve about this, by the way. Because these days I change it to the other way around.
Yeah.
And I was struggling especially with my feelings on my left foot, maybe because I'm not used to it. And today, yes, when I was meditating here, it felt like the outer bones on the left foot was pressuring my right foot. I felt so much pain, and like after a while I tried to observe it, and I had to change the other way around.
Yeah.
Like nearly at the end phase of the meditation.
Yeah. No, initially you can change it mindfully, but eventually you will have to stop changing.
Yes.
There is no posture which does not give you pain. All the postures are giving pain at one point. right? So the only thing therefore we have got to learn is to bear it up, right? So initially, my advice is initially you can change it mindfully, but gradually increase the time that you are being patient with. Good?
Yes, that helps me a lot. Karwan Sarnai.
All right. So blessings of the triple gem to all of you. And I don't think I will be able to stay here for the transfer of merit session. Can I kindly request all of you to do it personally? And if you can drop out, leave the session, I can start the singular talk now. I'm having a singular talk in the retreat now. Thank you very much for joining. And we will meet again on
Sarnai.
Tuesday. Thirvan Saranai.